Unit 8. Right and Wrong on the Net.
Good morning. Did anyone hear the news about the teenager in New York who hacked into a bank's database and stole about 30,000 credit card numbers over the weekend? Hacking is related to computer ethics. That's our topic today. Computer ethics deals with the proper use of information technology, such as computers and the internet. By proper use, I mean socially responsible use. We'll first talk about what ethical behavior is and how this applies to computer use. First, I want to make sure we all know what ethics is. Anyone? Yes, John.
It's about right and wrong.
Yes, okay, Jennifer.
And it's about being a good person, doing what's right.
Yes, ethics includes both of these ideas. It deals with moral judgments, with what is acceptable or unacceptable to do. Now, we learn ideas about what is right and wrong from our families, our friends, and from the culture we live in. Because of differences in our backgrounds, we may not always agree on what is right and wrong. However, for our discussion today, I will define for you what I mean by an ethical action. An ethical action is something someone does that benefits someone and doesn't hurt anyone. So, for example, if you see a man drop some money and you pick the money up and give it to him, this is an ethical action. On the other hand, if you pick up the money and don't give it back to the man, this benefits you but hurts the man. This is not an ethical action. Now, what about computers? What are the ethical boundaries for using computers and the internet? Most people agree that it is wrong to steal from a store. Would they also say it's wrong to copy music files from the internet? Or, to take another example, most people agree that it is wrong to open an envelope and read a letter to someone else. Would they also say it's wrong to read someone else's email? In the past decade or so, many more people have started using computers and the internet, so these issues have become important. In 1992, the Computer Ethics Institute was founded in the United States. This is a research, education, and policy study group whose goal is to increase awareness of the ethical issues that are likely to come up as technology develops. One concept the Computer Ethics Institute has developed is the 10 Commandments of Computer Ethics. These rules are important guidelines the Institute thinks all computer users should follow. Now, some of you may be familiar with the 10 Commandments from the Bible, like thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. The 10 Commandments of Computer Ethics have been written in the same style of language used in the 10 Commandments from the Bible. For example, they use the phrase, thou shalt not. Thou shalt not means don't, or you shouldn't. Let's look at each commandment or rule. The first commandment says, thou shalt not use a computer to harm other people. Simple enough, right? Number 2, thou shalt not interfere with other people's computer work. I interpret this to mean, don't use a computer in any way that will affect or change the work someone else is doing. Don't move or edit someone else's files without telling them. Number 3, thou shalt not snoop in other people's files. To snoop means to try to find out something without another person knowing it. If you look at someone else's files on the computer or read their email, you're snooping. Respect other people's privacy. Number 4, thou shalt not use a computer to steal. There are situations on the internet in which you have to decide if you are stealing or not, like downloading music files, as I mentioned earlier. Number 5, thou shalt not use a computer to say things that are untrue. It is up to you to be truthful in your website, in your e-business, and in your email. Number 6, thou shalt not use software for which you have not paid. In other words, if the software is free on the internet, it's okay to download and use it. However, it is not okay to copy software from a friend because you didn't pay for it. Number 7. Thou shalt not use other people's computer resources without telling them or without paying them. For example, you shouldn't use someone else's computer, password, or internet connection without asking them first. Number 8. Thou shalt not appropriate someone else's ideas. Appropriate is spelled A-P-P-R-O-P-R-I-A-T-E. It means to take words someone else wrote and say they're yours. For example, you have to write a report for school. If you copy a term paper from the internet and hand it in, you're breaking the rule. Copying even a few sentences off the internet and presenting them as your own is breaking the rule. Number 9. The 9th commandment says, Thou shalt think about the social consequences of the program you are writing. Now, this applies mostly to computer programmers. Social consequences means how the program you're writing might affect others in society. Could hackers possibly use your program to illegally gain access to a computer system? Skillful hackers can hack into banks and into credit card companies. They can alter accounts and steal money. They can also create viruses that can cause billions of dollars of damage worldwide. Number 10. The 10th commandment says, Thou shalt always use a computer in ways that are respectful of others. For example, sending unfriendly email to someone or about someone, or creating websites with negative messages are examples of breaking this rule. Okay, the Computer Ethics Institute has sent these guidelines to many large companies and to schools across the United States. However, there's no way to enforce these rules. Nevertheless, they would like to see schools in particular utilize these rules to help students develop a strong sense of computer ethics. Okay, any questions or comments at this point?
How are we supposed to remember all those rules?
Well, there are a lot of rules, but they all boil down to a couple of principles. Respect and fairness. Respect what belongs to others and use resources fairly. Does that help?
Yeah, I guess so.
Good. Let's go back to ethics. Now, increasingly, schools are seeing that students need to be taught computer ethics as part of the school curriculum. Some schools have come up with acceptable use policies or rules about what is or isn't okay for students to do regarding computer use. This is how the Computer Ethics Institute would like to see schools utilizing the rules. Generally, it's considered wrong to steal someone else's password or to read someone else's email. It's also considered unacceptable in college classes for a student to download a term paper off the internet and pretend that he or she wrote it. This is called plagiarism, and it's a good example of breaking rule number 8. Students are permitted to use the internet for research, but are instructed to write the information in their own words and to explain where they got the information. Now, the 10 rules are guidelines for us to follow. These rules help us to be aware of the ethical uses of technology. Let's stop here for today. Think about these rules this week, and we'll talk more about them. And read the next 2 chapters for next week.